Hey, it's Connor from the Steel Lodge, and today I'm checking out a different product than usual. I'm looking at the Cloner Alliance's capture card, the Flint 4KP Pro, and on this channel I mostly do Steam Deck content currently, and because of that I was interested in checking out a different capture card than the one I normally use. The one I normally use is back here. It's the Elgato 4K60S Plus, I believe, and that one I don't really use all its features because I don't really capture at 4K for the Steam Deck, but if I'm ever capturing on my PS5 or Xbox Series X, that's a nice option. So this product right here can do 4K 60 pass-through with HDR, but you can record at 4K 30 FPS or 1080p 60 FPS. It also supports 1080p at 120 FPS capture as well. Now this product was actually provided to me by the Cloner Alliance, but I didn't use any of their software and they didn't pay me to write this review. All the opinions here are my own. I used my own methodology that I use for recording, gameplay, and capturing everything. So I didn't use any of their software. I basically just used OBS and tested out how this capture card works. And there's actually one really good feature here for this capture card that works super well for the Steam Deck, and that is the ability to capture footage at 40 FPS. When using my Elgato capture card, I really can't capture footage like that, and it'll just crap out on me. But this one works really well for that, so I definitely intend on using it in the future. Setting this product up is a pretty straightforward process, and all the cables that you need should be provided in the box. First off, make sure you plug in some auxiliary power to give the unit the power it needs. Next, plug in the HDMI input for the device you want to capture. For most cases, for me, this is my Steam Deck. Then just plug in the output to the monitor you want the signal to go out to. Finally, you can plug this into your computer using the USB cable on the front of it to plug it into whatever device you want to capture on. Once I had plugged in the unit to my computer, I didn't have to set anything else up and OBS automatically recognized the capture card right away. I'm glad I didn't have to go onto their website and install any firmware or anything. Windows automatically picked it up and set it up for me. Now when it comes to setting this device up in OBS, it's pretty straightforward. You add it like you would any other capture card. Additionally, this device can record at 1080p 60 FPS or even up to 120 FPS while capturing in HDR, or you can record at 4K and 30 FPS, and in this mode you can't capture in HDR, but you can use HDR pass-through, so your external monitor can still get that nice HDR image. Switching between 4K capture and 1080p capture is pretty easy in OBS. You just open up the settings for the capture device, go in there, and then pick 1080p, and then set 60 FPS, and then make sure that in OBS settings itself, the recording settings are set up for 1080p 60 FPS capture, or you can set it to 4K and 30 FPS manually on the device, and then make sure you update your OBS settings to be the same as this. Setting things up in this manner worked really well, and the image quality I got out of it was really good and very comparable to what I would get out of my Elgato capture card. I honestly didn't really see any differences in the image quality for my Steam Deck capture at all, and this paired with the ability to capture at whatever frame rate I want to on my Steam Deck, and the fact that this device doesn't have issues like I have with my Elgato capture card, where I have to unplug it and plug it back in for the power to reset on the device to actually get the video signal to come through sometimes. I've actually been using this device more frequently now, and I really like it. So while this is now my primary capture device for Steam Deck capture, and I've been seeing high praises about it so far, there are some issues that I want to address. The first problem here was that initially I didn't get any audio in OBS, and this is easily remedied by changing the settings for the audio device and making it set to desktop output. Now this is definitely a strength of the Elgato one, where I didn't really have to set anything up in this regard, and the audio came through the expected channels. Here it's a simple fix, but you do need to force it to go through your desktop audio instead. The other issue that I encountered was a audio sync issue in OBS, and this one was noticeable to me when I did some captures initially, but the fix for this is pretty straightforward. On OBS, you could add a filter to the audio settings and give it a video delay filter. Adding a video delay of around 550 milliseconds made the audio and video sync pretty well, and it looks good to me now, but it is something that I had to adjust for. Once again, this wasn't a problem on my Elgato capture card, but actually the FAQ page for this product is very nice, and it did show me the fix for both this audio issue with OBS and the audio sync issue in OBS. So I would definitely recommend checking out the FAQ page if you get this device to have any questions. It was very helpful for me. Alright, so it's actually been a couple weeks now since I received the Flint 4KP Pro, and I've been using it basically all the time for my Steam Deck capture now. It is my primary capture device that has replaced my Elgato. As I mentioned earlier, my Elgato device, I like it, but it has issues with the Steam Deck, maybe not even necessarily just with the Steam Deck, but in general, where when I disconnect the Steam Deck and then reconnect it, I have to frequently turn the device off by unplugging it and then plug it back in. And that problem doesn't exist at all with the Flint 4KP Pro here. And obviously, as I mentioned earlier, the ability to capture at different frame rates, such as 40 FPS on the Steam Deck on an external monitor, is a must and is super nice here with this device. Now, there are definitely some things I want to see improved with this device, and the first one I can say right off the bat is the ability to capture at 4K and 60 FPS. It's nice that you can pass through the signal for HDR and 4K 60 FPS, but being able to capture that footage would be really nice, and at the price point of just under $200, it would make it a very competitive product. The other feature is HDMI 2.1, and now there aren't very many capture cards on the market right now that I can think of that have HDMI 2.1, but if the Cloner Alliance really wants to get ahead of the market, adding that feature in would be a killer feature. The ability to have a variable refresh rate on your external monitor or even in captures is really nice and would make the product extremely competitive with other devices. That about wraps it up here though. I'm really happy with the product. If you want to buy it, check out the link in the description below. That's an affiliate link that will give me some kickback if you do end up buying the product. If you like the video, consider subscribing to the channel and give me a thumbs up. But other than that, have a good one.